Welcome, everyone. I'm Amos Joseph, joined by my co-host Brook Potter, and this is the 10K Rum Podcast. How's it going, Brook?
It's going good, Amos. I must apologize to those who might be trying to catch us live. I had some technical difficulties. I literally had to throw away my new laptop and bring my old one back because reasons. Um, yeah, I don't know what the hell's going on. But besides that, we're having great weather at Amos. We actually have a summer. Like we've had summer for 2 weeks. And happy 4th of July to all our American listeners. You know, that's obviously worth mentioning. So what did you all do for that?
I went to now, depending upon which of our friends that we talked to, the river that is basically bordering Minnesota and Wisconsin.
Right.
Natives would call it the St. Croix River.
Uh-huh.
But like our friends from like Canada or some of our French-speaking friends, they would absolutely lose their minds, say it's pronounced Saint Croix. So
fucking French.
Croix, the Saint Croix River. I'm just gonna say it that way.
Yeah, just piss off the foreigners.
Exactly. We went there for a what they kind of like a lunch buffet ferry. Basically, it's a 2-hour thing. You hop on the boat with a couple hundred other people, and we go up and down the river for 2 hours while we also have like a little like a lunch, like sandwiches and pasta kind of thing, just like a regular lunch, and then you get to watch the river. A lot of people out there on pontoons, boats, people fishing, people jet skiing while we're on the boat.
Nice. What did you have on the boat? Was there any good food, any good drinks, any nice women?
There was I mean, for food they just had like sandwiches and like sandwiches, cookies, and chips. They also had like those cold pasta salads kind of things.
So not like real food, but like snacky sort of things.
Enough to get it for a meal. Like it's like a cold lunch kind of thing.
Okay. Was there like a big fireworks display? I mean, you know,
No.
what did America do to celebrate its Americanness and with all that freedom?
No fireworks that time of day. I mean, this is lunch, so this is from about 11.
Okay.
The boat took off at 11:30, came back at 1:30.
Okay. Well, I mean, was there like a 4th of July celebration near where you were at?
I mean, there's just a lot of people getting around. I mean, the town that it's in called Stillwater is a very touristy kind of area. Just a lot of small shops and stuff. So after the ferry, my family and I went for a little walk down the main street, looking at all the businesses and just kind of window shopping, that whole thing. But after that, we pretty much everyone got home at about like 5 in the afternoon, and we didn't do anything else.
You didn't like nothing in where you're at, like a park doing fireworks or outdoor barbecue?
I heard about a lot of fireworks, but I didn't participate in any 4th of July festivities.
No, you didn't like fry bacon on an M16 or something, you know?
No.
No, not that much. Not that much America. Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. It wasn't a very festive 4th of July like some might think.
Oh, sorry to hear that.
But yeah, no, and then what else has been going on? Yeah, everyone kind of probably picked up on last week. We didn't broadcast.
Yes, we might want to explain to our listeners why we're a week behind the glorious House of Gains.
No. We're not that far behind them, are we? We're only like a couple episodes behind them. They're
60 something. I can't remember where they're at.
64 or 5 or something, and we're at 58 today.
Yes. Well, there's a reason we mentioned that, ladies and gentlemen. We'll get to that in a minute, but go ahead, man.
Yeah, the show where we talk about toxic masculinity. But yeah, no, we took the week because I have family in town and went to go hang out with them last weekend. Plus, I was up late and getting up for this show. It's not early, but it's just I figured I could sleep in a little more, so I didn't do it last week. It was kind of almost a last minute call on my end, but every now and then we can do that. I'd say.
Yes, I mean, and similarly, I will be absent this Sunday because I have a trip to Iceland coming up with my Russian friend, um, who we'll just say is not a real blonde, and she and I are heading out for a week, and I will be missing the Sunday show. However, we do have something kind of in the works for. Is
Yeah,
it
we're looking at
Thursday?
having Thursday. Yeah, there's Thursday,
Yes,
and then Sunday we might do like a guest co-host.
right. Well, you will do a guest co-host.
Yeah, so the show
Yes.
must go on.
Yes, you got to catch up.
But yeah, we are gonna be having a guest. Do we want to talk? We might as well talk about that, right?
Yeah. I mean, I hope I'll get in touch with him again this week just to make sure everything is on schedule. But yeah, we have a guest for Thursday. Are we gonna share it on Thursday, or are we gonna like premiere it later on?
With him, we probably don't have to do any like special whatever. Just
Okay.
yeah. So probably people remember in the past few episodes we've mentioned the Glorious House of Games podcast with Robert Frank 615 and the crew. They have shouted out to us a couple times since Brook met up with them and made an impression upon them, and they really like Brook. And Brook reached out to one of their I guess co-hosts. I guess their panel.
He's not a full-time co-host, but yeah, definitely Jason Hicks.
Beard's so strong.
Beard's so strong.
So you reached out to him to have him on the show.
Yes.
And he was actually flattered, which I was surprised to hear. Feeling it's an honor to come onto our small show. And then this last week, when he was on the Glorious House Games podcast, I sent out a super chat, kind of subtly, like, hey, shout out from this podcast kind of thing. And they read it.
With Brook.
Friends with Brook. You guys know Brook. And no, they were good spirited about it. They read it and they were like, hey, let's mention this. So Beard So Strong is going to be on this show.
As long as the timing is worked out, yes, we do plan to have him on. I'll confirm, but yes, it sounds like
it's looking like this Thursday.
Yes.
But that's all we're gonna say. We're not gonna say for sure.
Yes, we can't say for sure. He might be busy banging some chicks, so
and we can't blame him for that.
We wouldn't hold that against him.
Well,
I mean, I'm quite excited about that because he really probably has some interesting stories. I mean, my attitude towards this whole thing, meeting the guys was great. And I don't want to be overburdening them, right? I don't want to be like hitting them up all the time because I know these guys are busy. They're being swamped, hundreds and thousands of messages coming, especially to Robert Frank and the crew. So I'm trying not to be that guy as much as I'd love to be, kind of like, hey, yeah, let's do this. But it is an open invitation, you'd say, that if any of the crew wants to come on the podcast, it'd be like, yeah, sure, we'll set that up, right?
Hell, have all of them on at the same time. like a 2-hour episode. No. Yeah, so yeah, he's going to be on and we'll be talking about a lot of stuff. I know we're looking at and I think we might as well mention this too. We're looking at trying to put out probably more than one episode a week.
Once we find the time. So probably Thursday and Sunday, probably.
Thursday and Sunday, just because that works for me and you have your open schedule pretty much.
I mean, we'll see. if I'm in a trade on a Thursday, it might be.
No, that's yeah. But we're trying to make more than once. We might not do it every week, but if we can, we will.
Correct.
Say that. Correct. There we go. That's better.
We're trying to get those numbers up. These are amateur numbers. We gotta get those numbers up, man.
But anyway, so yeah, do stay tuned on the channel, guys. Checking in on that. Make sure everyone is noticing that. We're gonna be having more episodes on. We're gonna have, I guess, one of the bigger guests we've had on, right?
Yes. Hopefully a step in the right direction. to eventually get Donald Trump on.
Oh God, I don't know.
Did you
man.
watch the parade? His, you know,
I did not.
I mean, I didn't either, so I don't know. But I just didn't know if you heard any feedback on the. I guess it was a military parade, right? It was like all the armed forces and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's a little, I mean, for a lot of our libertarian friends, it was, they're getting all cringed about it, and I'm thinking, yeah, I would too. I mean, I saw some of the video footage of it, and it did look pretty good. It looks, pretty. It's a over the top kind of patriotic display, but the whole military aspect can get a little bit like, okay. Not that I have anything against any people who serve in the military. It's just more of the symbol of the military itself. Like, we're literally in every country in the world.
Yeah. I mean, trying to be fair, back in my home country of Trinidad and Tobago, when we do independence, we also have we don't have an army and like a big military, but we have armed forces, Coast Guard, police and all these things. We actually do like a display in what's called the Savannah. It's the biggest roundabout in the world. It's a big grass patch in the middle of the city. So I think a lot of countries actually do that. That's not very odd for people outside the US. I know Latin America, they do it. I'm sure that a lot of the Caribbean do it. They don't do it so much in the UK and elsewhere. And you all used to do it, right? During the time of the Cold War, these kind of parade things were actually quite common. And I mean, it was all propaganda against the Russians and whatever.
And that's the thing is large military displays, in my opinion, are not bad in and of themselves, but more so like you kind of look at who's doing it, why they're doing it. Like you kind of think, well,
I really think the Chinese learned it,
Yeah. I mean, that one time they did a little bit over the top, but let's just say a good 30 years ago.
Oh, yes, almost exactly 30 years ago. Not that we want to get banned on YouTube at this point, but
just that one time, absolutely nothing happened in Tiananmen Square. It was just a military parade that a lot of people got in the way of.
Yeah, it's the incident from 30 years ago.
And that's what they call it now, is the incident. It's not really, you can't even say what it is.
I mean, it's so fun. I mean, obviously, when the anniversary of the actual event came out, that was, it should be something remembered. The memes that came out were pretty fantastic.
The empty
imperialist road. Yeah. The imperialist camera iPhone takes a picture of Tiananmen Square, and of course, it's low quality. And then you have the what is it, Huawei, or what is the Chinese?
Huawei. Yeah,
Huawei. Yeah. They're taking the same picture, and they're no tanks, or it's like
a lot of Facebook events I was being invited to attend. Anniversary of an event that totally did not happen. And it's just, and then the cover photo on the Facebook event is just a blank, just the road with no tanks on it.
Right. I mean, is it true that the protester was holding up the Declaration of Independence with the tank?
I don't know about that. No,
Tank Man in an interview.
Tank Man was just a man standing there, and no one knows what happened to Tank Man.
I think I remember somebody at the demonstration, somebody prominent, maybe not Tank Man, but somebody was literally holding up the U.S. Declaration of Independence at the rally. Which brings me to a segue, which actually the British could kind of be proud of, because currently there are a number of protests taking place in Hong Kong. And ironically, which is probably going to piss off a lot of the leftists, in light of Beijing's interference in the Hong Kong government, and again, I'm no full expert, but they hoisted the Union flag, right, the UK Union flag, in the midst of their protest as their symbol of freedom. And it's such a throwback. I mean, because it's colony, right? It was a colony. It was held for 100 years, and it's recently handed back over, I think, in like late 1990s or possibly early 2000. I can't remember exactly.
Yeah, the contract.
The contract, correct. And their symbol of freedom in Hong Kong was actually the United Kingdom flag. And it's so ironic because we ain't got shit of freedom in the UK.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get that. Like, you guys are barely even getting Brexit out of the gate. And
Yeah, exactly. We're actually swapping out our prime minister at the moment. It's probably going to be Boris Johnson, who is kind of like Donald Trump light. So it's going to be entertaining, if nothing else. And what has definitely come of this whole thing is the disconnect between the political class and the everyday people. The country voted to leave in the Brexit referendum almost more than 2 years ago. And the elites and the public service are actively working against the will of the people. And even the Speaker of the House, so I mean, we don't call him the Speaker of the House, but we call him the Speaker. I think his name is Burkow or Burchow or something like that. He is like actively trying to sabotage the prospect of a no-deal Brexit, which at this point seems to be like the only viable option because nobody could agree on anything. Parliament is in deadlock. The only way to really get out is just to let it default and get out. Save only there is a lawsuit that's taking place right now that might change the balance of power. It's not talked about very much, but I think it's the European Withdrawal Agreement 2017. A guy, I think Tilbrook and his team are actually arguing in our high court, similar to your Supreme Court, that based on legislation, on statute government law, we've left already. And the courts are in panic mode because actually the statute is very clear that with or without a deal, it came into effect March 29th, 2019. And technically they had no power to extend it. So that's going on in the background. Save that. It's Boris Johnson, and it's probably going to be no deal. But yeah, the disconnect between the ruling class and the rest of the country is astonishing.
Right. Man, your politics are like more complicated than ours in some ways.
Well, we are in fact 4 countries that are very, very different. And yeah.
Right.
The political class out here used to control 1/5 of the world, and now they've only got 4 countries. So all of that pent up, ruling class power is being shit all over the population.
Speaking of now, not that we could. I should diverge this. Go off this tangent too far. I know we don't want to talk too much about like movies or TV shows, but I was telling you about that show I was watching.
What show was that?
Designated Survivor.
Oh yes. Where was it? The agricultural secretary is the survivor.
Housing and urban development.
Right.
So Ben Carson's position.
Played by Kiefer Sutherland.
Yes, Jack Bauer becomes president, basically. Now, so people who know about it, it's basically Kiefer Sutherland plays this guy, Kirkman. Basically, he's the housing and urban development secretary of that cabinet. He's a cabinet member, and this is an actually true thing. So every time, not the story, but this whole process they do every time during the State of the Union, where basically all of the higher levels of government are in one place. All Supreme Court justices, all of the House of Representatives, the Senate, and then all, of course, the executive branch being president, vice president, speaker of the House, all that. All these people are all in one place in the Capitol building during the State of the Union. During that, there's always what's called a designated survivor, where they choose one, usually a lower level cabinet member, one of the secretaries of their departments. They set them aside in an undisclosed location in case of a catastrophic event where the Capitol basically gets blown up
by Russians
or something. So the story. So the first episode of the show is basically kind of giving you a little background about Kiefer Sutherland and all this, and he's just hanging out, eating and drinking beer while he's watching the State of the Union at this undisclosed location, and then the Capitol blows up.
Yes.
Everyone dies. President, vice president, speaker of the House, most of the cabinet. So in order to continue government, Kiefer Sutherland becomes president like right away. And this whole show is basically him on the road to rebuild the government. Like he has to find a vice president. He has to, elect an entirely new Congress so that they can actually confirm a new cabinet, new Supreme Court justices. The anarchist in me kind of looks at this as like, well, who needs term limits when all of them died? Not that I wish this upon the government at all. It was just an interesting thought experiment, I guess. Like if something like this happened, and what they also make it interesting because they don't touch too much on political parties, but they do insert political points, which I find. I mean, it's granted it's a show about politics, so you're going to hear it, but Kiefer Sutherland, being the president, his character is supposed to be an independent, but you can see where he tends to be left-leaning in some things. So I'm kind of noticing that, which, and the show did come out in 2015.
Yes.
So I do see small hints at what was going on at the time.
Yes.
I've yet to see what happens in the season after 2016 or in 2016, like how that's going to play out. But it is an interesting show because you get to learn a lot about like a lot of very real constitutional law, how they are supposed to go about these things. And then, of course, the whole thing, how they, how even like how the Capitol is set up and everything. So it's an interesting show. I think I recommend people who are interested in government politics to watch it. I liked it just because it kind of feels just the way the story is told, the way the show goes on. You're almost feeling like you're a part of the story.
Right.
Because he's such a normal guy. Like he was basically all these steps along the line of succession, and then he just gets bumped to the front.
Yes.
And if you looked at his life, he was a very normal guy. He had no secrets, didn't really have any Secret Service people taking care of him. He didn't have any special anything. He was, housing and urban development. No one even really knew about him. That's the whole thing.
Yeah. And I think I watched the first season of it. Started off very slow, very leftist. It did pick up kind of getting into it. And I think he was a Democrat. And I think both parties had their designated survivors. So the Republican had one, and eventually she plots to try and like take him out to become president. And there's a lot of twists and turns with that whole thing.
Yeah,
but it was interesting. It was as you say, it's an interesting take on the U.S. politics and the Constitution.
Yeah, because now I mean he's going from the HUD, so housing urban development, from HUD all the way up to president, and everyone's just expecting him to fail.
Yeah,
but he's like very quickly sort of put into a spot where like he has to be presidential like now.
Yeah.
So he starts to be like, as you look, he becomes more and more presidential as the show kind of goes on, and he realizes like where he has to make compromises.
Correct. Yeah. It's a good show. I mean, I also liked what was it, the West Wing? I don't know if you ever saw that.
Heard of it.
Very left, but it was the inside story of basically the White House and the White House staff. So this is like the direct aides to the president. Martin Sheen, I think, played the president. He was actually pretty good. Again, very leftist politics. They're trying to get guns off the street and stuff. But the internal politics of the office and like, this department needs this and this, that, and the other and stuff. Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. And if you're willing to put aside, okay, yes, it's some Democratic propaganda, it was still a very entertaining show. I think that went for almost 5-6 seasons or something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's good.
Because in this show they do throw in like the gun control. Because they're trying to figure out like who bombed the Capitol. So they have to, of course, do a few episodes going down the path of like, terrorists, Muslim terrorists.
Yeah, who to respond to.
Yeah. And then, of course, he's dealing with the turmoil of certain states having breakouts of violence against Muslims. How is he going to handle that? So yeah, there's a lot of different things to kind of look into. Again, a lot of left-leaning kind of way of looking at it. but I guess it's more center left than like blatantly left. Like,
they're not socialist or communist sort of left.
He's, he's not, all right, we're gonna, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's people who believe in the power of government. Like, oh yes, making guns illegal is going to solve gun crime kind of people. These idealists that have no real basis in reality, which is basically everybody in Hollywood. So
right. Anyways, not to get, like I said, I didn't want to get too much into TV shows and movies, but
no, I mean, it was a political weekend for you guys. We even had I think we have a pub out here in London. I think it's called the Trump Arms or something like that. And they did a very big 4th of July celebration, barbecue, gun. Well, we couldn't actually have guns, but
4th of July celebration in the UK.
Is that allowed? UK. Yeah, of course. Because we have a very large expat population in London. A lot of Americans, well, I mean, people from all over the world. It's one of the biggest cities in the world. So I got an invitation. I think I was like part of like the Republicans overseas when I was in Trinidad at one point, and they sent me an invite. So, I mean, it was quite a nice celebration. From what I've seen, I didn't actually make it out there, but that's the one thing I miss. You know what I mean? You really got to get all the fireworks and the hot dogs and the hamburgers. The few times I was in the US for it, it was really, really good.
Yay, Treason Day.
Treason Day, yeah. I did actually share a meme. It was a picture of George Washington, and he's saying on the 4th of July, happy day at work tomorrow, England. And
Now, speaking of memes, and for the 4th of July, you've heard about this whole thing with Trump and how the founding fathers stormed the airports.
No, I didn't. I didn't hear this. I've seen some clippets, but I would actually like to hear the speech in context. But go ahead.
People, please do look it up.
I will.
But apparently Trump was making this whole, like, he was giving some talk or speech on what happened on the 4th of July. And he starts talking about how, like, the founding fathers, like, took over the airports. And
brilliant.
So the memes started going, and it was like, Paul Revere with the, what was it? Whatever he was, he had the lamps, and it was like 1 by 8, 1 by sea, 2 by land or something, and it was like, right, pulsating LED light by air, just all sorts of things. There were memes that were saying, onward to JFK.
I mean, clearly, did he offer a response to? I mean, obviously, he misspoke. So. Is this just another covfefe kind of moment?
Oh, he blamed the teleprompters.
Oh, possibly.
And then, of course, people. You've seen Top Gun, right?
Yes, of course.
So there's a picture someone took. They superimposed George Washington's face onto Tom Cruise's face, wearing like aviators, and then it's George Washington saying, "Because I was inverted." So
brilliant. I mean, I know the teleprompter can be a real thing. Obama fucking sucked without a teleprompter. Like, he could not speak English almost. I mean, that's an exaggeration, but
I remember
I don't put it past him completely. The mumbling, yes.
The mumbling, the stuttering. And Trump, for the most part, if without a teleprompter, he sounds more like a salesman.
Yes. I mean, give him due. He is a salesman. He really
is.
Is.
But he has a lot of the salesman speak, which isn't as bad as stuttering and mumbling. I'll have to say.
Like not actually having a coherent train of thought. It's quite different. Yeah, Trump has wung it. He just wings it, right? So I mean, I saw him in the debates, especially against Hillary Clinton. He gave great sound bites. His kind of schoolboy yard naming of his opponents. Was it Low Energy Ted, and I can't remember what he said for Jeb Bush, and Tin Man Marco Rubio and stuff. I mean, it brought down the level of politics in the eyes of the world, kind of thing. It's childish, but it was so brilliant and it was so funny to watch him kind of just piss these people.
And then him versus Hillary, where he just said, "Because you'd be in jail,"
Yeah, I mean, that is the soundbite of the century, man. That's fantastic. I mean, I don't know if you've seen, I think, is it Epstein? One of these guys has recently been arrested in the US that's allegedly linked to like some big pedophile ring with businessmen and politicians, and very much kind of intertwined with the Clinton machine.
Ooh.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't followed it because just there's so much going on with me right now, but it could be a very, very big court case. Of course, it's going to be media silence, but who knows?
Right.
Hillary might still, be in for some trouble. Oh, it's Jeffrey Epstein. Yeah. We got Brian is in the chat. I think that's him, Brian. I'll actually double check it and see.
Yeah. Now, did you hear? Now I know because since we missed a week, we got to do a little catching up on this too.
Yeah.
Did you hear about the Democratic debates?
I saw some clips where they were talking in Spanish. And
yeah,
I thought I tuned into Telemundo, and I was like, "What the hell's going on?" And Cory Booker's expression, of course, was priceless.
And you saw the meme that I made. So there's this picture, kind of with focusing on Beto O'Rourke, and it's him talking in Spanish, and then there's this angle where it's showing Warren and Booker kind of looking at him like, "What?" And I made the caption, "When your dad tries to speak Spanish in a Taco Bell drive-thru."
Right.
But anyways, yeah. So he started speaking in Spanish, like interchanging between Spanish and English to kind of like diversify his answer. Mm-hmm. And then later on in the debate, Cory Booker starts throwing in some really broken Spanish. Well, I shouldn't say really broken, just very Americanized sounding Spanish.
Spanglish.
Yeah. Well, just his accent was so then there was that. And then there was the debates were just a shit show. Like the running joke, of course, is how many people are really running for president now. It's like everyone's running for president.
I mean, to be fair, on the last round, every Republican was running for president. There must have been at least 25 candidates.
Excuse me. There must be some sort of thing where every time there's like the opposing party always has more.
Well, the trend in American politics is, whoever gets into office, they tend to hold it for 2 terms, generally.
That's been the trend in the past couple decades.
Except for Bush Sr. So Bush the first, he lost it to Clinton.
But yeah. So when they're running though, so now we have a Republican, or at least in name only.
We don't know what he is.
So we have a Republican in office, and he, so who's he going to be debating against? Weld, Bill Weld. But he's gonna, so then he's gonna be there, and that's just them. It's just a couple people.
Yeah.
And then you have what, like 20, 30 Democrats?
I don't know how many are, but it's a lot.
But so many that they had a full like lineup of people across 2 different nights. And Andrew Yang barely made it into the second one.
Right. You have to poll a certain amount.
Yeah, he was kind of like the real underdog in the whole thing, even though he's pretty popular on the internet. He's in there, and I even saw some charts showing like how much time each candidate got to speak.
Yeah.
He got the lowest. Like, it's like a 1 hour, well, as with commercials, like a 40-minute debate.
Right.
He got 3 minutes.
Oh, okay, cool.
if that.
I mean,
And
yeah,
then
the
people
debates
like
are always go
right.
ahead.
People like Warren, Beto, Cory Booker, and such got like 5-10 minutes more or more. And yeah, so Sanders, I think too.
It's pretty. I mean, I don't know. Maybe I'm not. I don't really have a lot of connections on the left anymore because all of them have lost their mind. But it's so forced at this point. The things that they're saying and the ideas that they're pushing, like Elizabeth Warren recently said, she wants by executive order to eradicate the wage gap between men and women. I'm like, for fuck's sake, man. I mean, the debunked, just complete nonsense idea of the wage gap. This is your platform. You're so uninformed. Didn't you used to teach at Harvard and stuff like that? You don't know this. And I mean, apart from all the socialist stuff, all the free shit for the young kids and canceling student debt.
Oh, jeez.
I mean, it's just ridiculous, And I hope people are, because I don't have a lot of people on the left to kind of speak for the Democrats. But I really hope people are seeing through this nonsense because it's just pandering, like silly, lowbrow pandering, which is why the whole Spanish thing, right? It was in Florida, I believe, the debate. And I mean, I don't know how many people have been to Florida recently, but it's becoming more and more where Spanish is the primary language, and you can't even find people who speak English in parts. So that's why they do that. Ironically, when Jeb Bush did it in the Republican, because he's also bilingual, his wife is Spanish or Mexican or Latina, I don't know. He got criticized tremendously for that by both sides. And the Democrats were screaming, "This is America. We speak English." And even the Republicans are the same thing. Like, we're campaigning for America. But of course, when the Democrats do it, they get a pass, right? Everybody in CNN is like, coming in their pants. Like, oh, look how intelligent these people are.
Pandermonium.
Pandermonium. That's a good way to put it.
But yeah, it's 2 full debates. Had to be at least 20 or 30 people. People, of course, are really liking Tulsi Gabbard. I know that. A lot of the more, I guess, center left or just very or classical liberal stuff like that. That even some libertarians are starting to kind of like Tulsi, just because of her
anti-war,
the big anti-war thing. Because you look at even talking, especially among libertarians, we know some of the big talking points libertarians have. Okay, taxes, war, just a big state in general. So I know a big thing Ron Paul was really pushing for in his campaign was this anti-interventionist sort of policy, moving towards a more isolationist type of policy. Not like complete isolationism, but really just cutting back our military being in other parts of the world. We have, I think we have more bases out of the country than in the country. And
probably. Most of them were British bases, and you guys just moved in after the war. So you guys just took our spots.
I mean, I guess call it poetic justice, moving into someone else's territory.
Well, I mean, the British Empire was falling apart, so somebody had to take the reins. And I prefer the U.S. to China or Russia, to be honest. But
be the colonialists. Excuse me. So, yeah. So he was pushing for that, and now the left is pushing. We have someone on the left that's pushing for that, and of course, everyone is unironically attracted to Tulsi because she's looks pretty good for her age.
I mean, this is the woman from Hawaii, am I right?
Yeah,
Democrat from right, and it's kind of I think CNN, Don Lemon, or what is his name, Don something. He was the one complaining like she can't play the black card because she's not black enough or something.
Oh my God, really? I didn't hear about that.
Yeah. I don't know much about her, to be very honest. I know Tim Pool, who's a guy I watch on YouTube. He tends to like her. Joe Rogan tends to like her.
He had her on the show.
Yeah, he had her. I didn't listen to the full interview. There's so much fucking Joe Rogan to listen to. It's kind of hard to find the time. But I think even the New Republic, which is a very right-wing publication, came out and said that Trump should replace John Bolton with Tulsi Gabbard because of her anti-war position. So that's a very good position for the right to actually endorse her.
Oh, we got Brian in the chat saying it was actually Kamala Harris that can't play the black card, not Tulsi.
Oh, okay. So thank you, Brian. I can't keep track.
I think, yeah,
so
I think I actually can see that Kamala is really trying to play the black card.
Let me see. I'm gonna have to look her up.
But oh my gosh.
Well, I mean, this is the Democrats are going to go for the oppression Olympics, right? So they're going for.
They're gonna double down on that.
Well, they already are, right? Because isn't there a debate about reparations that are coming up?
Oh yeah.
Are you going to join on that? Like Chinese railroads, all that shit. Like, are you jumping on?
I mean, it cancels out though, doesn't it? It cancels out for me, so I get like nothing.
I don't know. What do you do for people who are actual slaves who are now white? Like, the descendants of slaves that might actually be white. Like, do they get cash?
What about the slaves overseas that we so casually just ignore?
Yeah, I mean, like what's going on in the Middle East right now? It's kind of crazy what's happening out there. So it's going to be. I mean, it's a long-standing debate. I'm interested to see where. I don't think it's going anywhere, but it'll be interesting to see what comes.
I think they've tried like calculating some numbers, and it's like it varies from the billions to the trillions.
Yeah, I think last count I heard was 1.8 trillion.
Jesus Christ! Like, why? Like, okay, so here's what you're going to do. You're going to abolish Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and just replace it with reparations.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're going to abolish all of that for a one-time payment, maybe. But
I mean, they are entitlements.
Well, it's a complicated issue. I don't know enough about it to really get stuck in the weeds on this, so I'm not going to put my head on a block. But I mean, we had the same kind of argument in the Caribbean, so okay, yes, like all the Commonwealth countries, Britain, whatever. But the argument kind of, they're all looking for money from the colonial powers, and it's a very foolish argument because ultimately we got the land, right? The Commonwealth got to keep the resources of the country. So in the case of Trinidad and Tobago, we've never asked for reparations, at least not officially, because we have oil and gas, right? And the oil and gas built the country, right? And that's what people tend to forget is you got your reparations, at least in the Commonwealth sense, by getting the land. You can't ask for reparations because of colonialism. You got your country. Like, what more do you want, right? If you screw it up after that, it's on you.
Right.
But yeah, we'll see. The debates on reparations is going to be interesting, spicy. So we'll see.
Who would you? And I know it's a shit show either way. Do you have any of the Democrats that you even remotely think would be okay?
I don't know enough about them. I think Biden is done. I think Bernie is done. Warren is done. It's not going to be any of them, right? I think there's just too much shit on it for them to stick. So it's probably going to be one of the women of color, because that's the best person to put against Trump. If you want the optics for the election, you're going to want to put a woman of color against him, right? Because anytime he does the kind of schoolboy, naming or whatever, they get to respond with the sexist, racist card, right? So it's like a default, de facto kind of defense in that respect.
Tokenism.
Yeah, that's the word, tokenism. But to be honest, beyond that, I don't have enough information about these people,
right,
to really make any kind of call. It's too early. What about you? Do you have anybody that you think is? I mean, apart from Yang and his freedom dividend that we kind of discussed.
Yang is kind of has that like interesting quality about him. I would be I mean, if he doesn't win, it'd be kind of cool if he like somehow served in the coming administration. If it was someone on the left that did win. The one that I'm seeing that has at least more practical, someone who actually has experience is someone like Tulsi. Like she's actually been in the military.
Right.
She actually served in Afghanistan, so she understands the whole war thing. And yeah, she's still on the left. Yeah, she's still Democrat, has all these other policies. But her anti-war stance alone, I think, is good enough to bring into a conversation.
Yeah.
Because people don't really think about that.
Trump was anti-war as well. And for the most part, he hasn't really gotten you all into any new conflicts.
Yeah. No, I will say he's done well. I mean, oh man, the whole North Korea thing.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Oh yeah, it's a good one. But of course, the left has to shit on that. Like, even Tim Pool's like, dude, like the guy literally he's the first president to ever walk into North Korea.
Correct. It's huge.
He's making huge strides in peace with North Korea, and the left just wants to find a reason to shit on him.
Yeah. I mean, the Trump derangement syndrome is fucking brain syphilis. It is driving people insane because the peace process with North Korea is enormous, and what he's done is historic. And Obama got a Nobel Peace Prize for less than what Trump has accomplished, right? And Obama went on to bomb with the drones and all this kind of other stuff. Trump he's not adding to these programs, so he's not expanding the bombings or anything like that. But I mean, obviously conflict is still going on, but he didn't initiate it.
I mean, I think the most he did was there were the missiles, and then there was the Moab.
Yes, the mother of all bombs.
And that was all I really ever heard about.
I mean, I think the drone program is still taking place in Syria. I mean, honestly, I haven't followed up on this stuff, so I really don't know. But at least he's not agitating for the industrial complex. He's not. I mean, everybody says, okay, Iran is in their sights. They're looking to go after Iran, possibly Venezuela. I don't see there's any reason for Venezuela to, be invaded.
Maybe it's posturing.
I think that's what it is. It's saber rattling, and this is how you negotiate, which is what politicians don't understand. Carrot and stick, right? So you threaten the stick, but you offer the carrot. And Trump is a master at this in terms of, everybody's screaming, sanctions. Da, da, da. Yes, but he's using the sanctions to break down the sanctions that have been put against the US. So he's threatening like Europe, for instance, which is a huge protectionist bloc. It's designed to protect the European farmers and the French fishermen. And, even the English, we can't even fish our own waters. There's the fucking Germans are fishing our waters and stuff like that. But American imports into Europe are like 20% markup, between 4 and 20%, depending on what it is. So that makes American goods less competitive. Every president before Trump, it's fine, doesn't matter. We'll just take the tariffs. So Trump comes on the scene now and he's like, no, fuck this shit. We're going to impose the same tariffs you put on us. And everybody's like, oh my God, he's such a protectionist. He's such a protectionist. And nobody's understanding the game he's playing, at least in this area. Because immediately after that, Europe is like, all right, let's work on a trade deal. Let's do free trade. And it's the same thing he did in Mexico. He wants to deal with the caravan. He wants to deal with the influx of migrants coming up from like Central America. All right, I'm going to slap 20% tariffs on the imports from Mexico unless you deal with the migrant issue.
Mm-hmm.
And even our libertarian friends, I mean, they're so quick to jump on Trump and just bash what he's doing. But if you don't understand the politics and you're just responding like knee-jerk response, they look really foolish. They look really foolish if they, again, they're not understanding this is what he's doing. We don't actually know if he's going to ever impose these tariffs.
Yeah.
Pretty crazy.
Yeah.
So what is this I hear about the Little Mermaid is black now?
Yeah. Terry Crews will be playing Poseidon. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. There's a meme about that.
I don't know, Samuel L. Jackson, motherfuckers.
Yeah, and so I heard about this, and you know, a lot of mixed responses. A lot of people are like, "What the fuck? What is this?" And some people who are kind of just hands off about it, like, "Yeah, I mean, yeah, I get what you're saying, but seriously, if Disney wants to go, implode and shit on itself, let it go do that. Yeah, I get that. Yeah."
Yeah.
But it's just funny. So no, I posted a meme. Someone photoshopped Poseidon as Terry Crews. Said a leaked image of the new movie. Um, but and then if there was the someone had a picture of Ariel as the Little Mermaid, and it said, so on the left is like a picture of her, and on the right is like a font selector, and then it says Ariel, and then and then the next one is Ariel Black.
I can see a black mermaid. Yeah.
And then oh my god, this is a really bad one that I saw. But it was from Captain Phillips.
I don't know who that is.
Captain Phillips, the where the Somali pirates took over the ship. Tom Hanks.
Oh, yes. Look at me.
And it says, and then so they took that, but they put ginger hair. But look at me. I am the Little Mermaid now.
Yeah, I saw that. That was very
funny. So it's I don't get, like, free market's gonna free market, but people are gonna do what they're gonna do. But man, diversity is just, I mean, there was the whole thing, the meme where like the guy is like asking his conference, he's like having a meeting, he's asking his guys like, all right, we need a new idea, what do we do? And then he says, he said, well, make another live action. I said, make Ariel black, and then the last guy, of course, is make a brand new black Disney princess with an original story, and he like throws him out the window. But seriously, like, they can do that.
I mean, that is my criticism.
Like, if you really want diversity, like, instead of, I mean, because isn't it then like,
it's tokenizing.
Yeah, you're tokenizing existing princesses. Why don't you create a brand new one? If you really want true, if they want to say transformation of perception of how the public perceives a princess, create a new one.
Correct. And this is, I mean, like, I really don't give a shit, right? I don't care. The only reason I bring it up is because it's of course it's very funny. All the memes that are coming out about this topic right now. I'm not gonna go and see the Little Mermaid. I don't care for it. I heard a story that Elsa from Frozen is going to be confirmed a lesbian. I'm just not interested. So I don't give a shit about any of this. But exactly what you're saying, I think it's actually quite insulting for those who care about the race issue to tokenize established characters when there is a plethora of other characters like authentic Black, Asian, Native American, comic book characters and other things out there, all of these other stories that are just passed over.
Like, no one ever shit on Mulan.
Correct. That was technically the first Asian, I think so. Yeah, it was the first Asian princess that they had. Well, princess and
female character. I mean, the movie was her name. So they pull this out. No one shits on it. Everyone, a lot of people like it. I still think it's in terms of Disney movies, it's pretty good.
And it got a sequel.
Yeah. I mean, granted, sequels are sequels, but but they had something that came out and it was original. I mean, original. It is a story, but it comes out and people like it. Correct. Hey, let's take this, let's just say a white person's story and turn it black. It's like that should be worse.
Yeah, it's kind of insulting. And again, I don't particularly care.
Like, even if they want to like make it a little more westernized or something, you could still take like some African tribal story and make it into like a princess type thing.
Correct. I mean, even in the Caribbean, we have native folklore at least in Trinidad, and it's African by descent. And we have unique characters. We have things called the Laja Bless, the Sukunya, the Lagahu, the Duens. And these are like folklore stories from the old country and stuff like that. And all of them have like a mythology behind them and stuff like that.
Like make it a cultural experience.
Correct. There are very rich stories to be told out there. No, I mean the original. I don't know if I didn't read it, but I read clips of it. The original Little Mermaid was actually quite dark. And I think she had green
a
skin
lot
or
of a lot of a lot of these stories, a lot of these fairy tales apparently have been used to be very, very dark.
Yes, yes.
Like involving like, killing people and like, I mean, if you really think about it, I mean, the Little Red Riding Hood.
Yeah. Pretty disturbing.
Really? Yeah, I've seen like Family Guy did a whole parody of it, like the whatever his name, the lumberjack like comes in and basically just like chainsaws the wolf open, and it's like yeah, because that's how gross it really is. But anyways, yeah, a lot of these stories have been obviously cleaned up a bit to fit for children, which is fine.
I mean, they've been Disneyfied, which is a legitimate term.
But so why not go Disneyfy some other stories? Been doing it for years anyways.
I mean, this is actually my concern. Like I've looked at Disney as an investment, and they've been doing pretty well up until Endgame, and we're very concerned about what they're doing going forward because they're not creating anything new, right? Nobody wants to take a risk. Nobody wants to take a chance and do something creative and new and stuff like that. So they're just rehashing the old stuff, right? They're remaking. They did Beauty and the Beast. I quite liked Maleficent, but it was a prequel. It wasn't a retelling of the Snow White story. It was kind of like before, and I thought that was very clever. Frozen. I mean, it's not that I'm a big Frozen fan, but unique story, and it wasn't the typical princess ending. The true love came from her sister. She loved her sister, and that's what broke the spell. And I thought, yeah, okay, Disney's trying something new. They're experimenting with.
That's why she's a lesbian.
But now, it's progressive. We got to have lesbian sisters, and all this other shit, right? But that's as far as they go. Moana was a good one. I quite liked Moana. Yeah, I think that did pretty well. And again, they were trying to do these things, but the bulk of their work right now is just rehashing a lot of the old stuff. They're doing The Lion King. They just did Aladdin, both of which I'm probably not going to see. Frozen 2. Even there's a Toy Story 4. I'm not interested. I'm not I'm not going to watch that.
I've heard Toy Story 4 was actually all right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just tired of Toy Story. I was kind of really drawn out of my way to go and see the last one.
Did you ever watch Incredibles 2? I know that's not Disney.
I did watch Incredibles because I loved the first one. The first one was phenomenal. And then I watched the second one and it's like, all right. I see what they're doing. Because of course the wife now has a more prominent role in the story. So okay, I could say, okay, I could see it as the two, the husband had his story told in the first one.
Why they did that though. Like they explained in the movie, like, well, we're trying.
Yeah, because he was too damaging. He would cause too much damage. Yeah.
Like in terms of how to market bringing heroes back, she would be a better choice.
Yes. But I mean, even with that, I could see it. I could see, okay, this is the PC brigade coming in, the women don't need no man. But it was done in a way that actually kind of fit the story. So it wasn't as overt as some of the other stuff we see going on. Like apparently in the Beauty and the Beast, again, something I didn't see. I'm not watching remakes. Remakes are bullshit as far as she's an inventor?
No. There was something about how it was just historically inaccurate.
Oh, I didn't know. I know that
you had and this is just historical accuracy was thrown out in that movie because you had black people wearing white people clothes.
Okay, I didn't even see that, but okay.
They like kind of like the royal looking or the high class people in the movie.
Right, right.
They like made it try to look as diverse as people are today in terms of societal how society is. People are like, wait,
Okay.
that's not historically accurate. And it's like, and it's not about racism or not, it's just historical accuracy. Like,
Yeah, sometimes it pulls you out of the movie experience if something is seen. Like if you saw a digital watch in the Robin Hood, for instance, with Kevin's Costner, it pulls you out of the film.
you're like, wait, what? You know, it's
Yeah.
if I mean, just to kind of look back at earlier in the show we did today, if you start talking about the founding fathers flying, F-16s into the into the Revolutionary War, it throw you off of it. I mean, I think it'd be an epic movie.
I was
But
about to say that would make an epic movie.
but that kind of pulls you out of the historical context. I mean, that would be like just like more parroting. Like
Correct.
Robot Chicken did a whole like a 300 style trailer of 1776. So there's all these like shirtless Virginians coming in with their muskets and
Yeah, yeah.
like 300.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think, as you say, like a parody. There's a Monty Python movie called The Life of Brian, and it's based around the time of Christ. Basically, Brian is born the same time as Christ, so they mistake him for the Messiah. And it's just like he's growing up around that same time, and it's a lot of shit going on. But in the middle of it, there's a scene where he's running from a bunch of centurions, and he runs up a flight of stairs, and he falls off a tower, and he lands in a spaceship that's swooping by with a bunch of aliens in it, and they go off into like this like 5-minute epic space battle completely out of context. Right?
But it's Monty Python though.
It's It's a parody. It works, right? And eventually they crash land in the desert, they die, and he walks out and continues the chase, right? But yeah, that's exactly what happens when you don't set the scenery for certain movies correctly. It can pull you out of the experience.
Unless the movie meant to do that.
Unless it meant to do that on purpose. Correct.
Yeah.
So the point I was going to make about Belle in the Beauty and the Beast, I didn't see it. My ex-girlfriend saw it, and they made Belle an inventor or something along those lines. Like they wanted to imply like women could be smart too, and she for that era and stuff like that, she was just as competent as a man. And that's kind of how it came across. I don't know. I can't remember what she was originally. I think she was just like a dainty, right? A socialite.
She worked at like a bookstore or something.
Yeah, maybe something. I can't remember. I never liked Beauty and the Beast. That was always a shit story. But yeah, so they're trying to, okay, women could do stuff and whatever. And that's the big theme right now is, woman power. As we saw in Endgame, we saw in all these other things, and all of that's produced by Disney. We're very, very worried, at least in the investing community, about the future of Disney.
Too woke.
Yeah. Now that the end game is done and they've shit all over Star Wars, which are two of the biggest franchises they had going, we're really concerned. Like, what are they going to do? I think there's superhero fatigue is setting in.
Spider-Man Far From Home, was that Disney?
That's Disney. Well, it's part of Marvel, which owns Disney. So yes, it is Disney. I didn't even see it. I probably not.
I went to go watch it. It's actually, I would have to say, it is just a little bit better than Endgame.
A little bit better than Endgame?
Yeah, just the story, because it's a unique story about Spider-Man. The only like connection to the Avengers is he sees Nick Fury.
Right.
And then they have this whole thing. They have 2 end credit scenes, which is cool. And so you watch the whole thing, and it's actually pretty good. There's
I might wait for it on cable.
No, I'd say it's actually. I went to go see it, and I thought it was pretty good. But I mean, that's just me. I try to keep up with all the movies that I can. Like the only one I think I think Black Panther and Captain Marvel were the 2 that I didn't. No, Black Panther and the first Spider-Man, Homecoming, I didn't go see in theater. I just waited till later. Right. But most of the other movies I pretty much went to go watch in theaters. So I just like keeping up with it. And
sure.
But yeah, no, I thought it was pretty good.
I'm looking at the numbers. I want to see what Spider-Man does post Endgame. If it does the same kind of success, I think it's not going to do as well because a lot of people are kind of, they're tired of 3 movies a year.
Yeah, with this, what it was, I mean, so basically, it's after Endgame.
Yeah,
Spider-Man goes on this, I guess, some sort of vacation trip with his class in Europe. And I don't know, what is it? So they go to Europe, and then Nick Fury finds him and says, "We got these like things to fight."
right.
You see in the trailer, and then we have Mysterio to help. Well, then it's like, wait, how is he? Well, he's Mysterio from like another universe.
Right.
Because Mysterio in the comics was always a villain.
Right.
And then that whole thing kind of, huh?
I don't care. I don't care about these characters. I've never been a big Spider-Man like aficionado. And I think it's, I even somebody like gave away the plot where like MJ realizes he's Spider-Man. They put that into one of the trailers, and you only do that if you're really trying to spark interest. So I think the numbers are not going to be that great for Spider-Man.
Oh, there's a bigger thing that makes.
Oh yeah, I know.
Really, really interesting.
Yeah, the Nick Fury thing. I think I know what it is.
Let's talk about off air. We're not.
Yeah, we'll have to just talk about that off air. But I mean, it was alluded to in Captain Marvel, and it's like, oh, I know what's going to happen now, and it's followed through. But anyway, we're tired. I mean, I'm tired. I don't think there's a superhero movie that I would actually go and see again, and I think Disney knows they're in trouble because, especially when the next Star Wars comes out. Oh, it's going to be bad. It's going to be so bad.
I think it's in response to the fact that people have such short attention spans nowadays that they're just pumping so much content to kind of keep the numbers up. Yeah. But it is having an opposite effect of basically it's like it's like taking too much ibuprofen. Eventually you just built up so much of a tolerance of a drug.
Exactly.
That you're really just trying to maintain sanity.
Yeah, exactly. As I'm now telling Brian in the chat here, Disney's plan moving forward is to create a subscription program similar to Netflix because they have a very vast catalog.
Oh, Disney Plus. That's going to have a Loki show, a WandaVision show.
Yeah. I mean, it's really sticking it to Comcast because at the end of the day, cable is basically dead, right?
I mean, I'm just thinking back in just before 2012 when the first Avengers was coming out. So I remember, I think it was like 2010 or 2011. No, 2011. Like we're watching. It's Captain America. So we're watching the first Avengers. We're watching that, and of course, the end credit scene is a trailer to Avengers.
Right.
So I'm watching that, and I just could feel like just myself, but also the whole theater itself was like, oh my God, the Avengers. Like the anticipation, the excitement that came from that.
Yes.
Never matched that ever since then.
I don't think it can.
Because now it was just like, oh, the next one and oh, the next one again. I mean, Endgame, probably because of such a large fan base, had a lot of anticipation that probably met that. Like, anticipation, though, is different from, like, the hype from that, though.
Sure, I get that.
Everyone had a lot of anticipation, but in terms of the overall hype and excitement, still didn't quite meet there. Like, after that, it was like... Impossible. I mean, it's like... Just as a drug reference, the excitement, anticipation that goes into, like, if you're taking, let's say you're like taking some sort of drug and you're getting really high, you're really into it, like the first night, crazy party, you're like, oh my gosh. But if you're someone like the Rolling Stones, if you ever heard about their stories, they literally just drunk, high party show, drunk party, and they would actually like go like a whole week without sleep somehow.
Yeah. Well, coke could do that to you. If you're doing a lot of coke, you'll sleep.
Yeah. How is that high gonna feel at the end of the week versus the beginning of the week? it's kind of like that, but but a longer time period of just the movies. Like, oh, yay, movie. But man, I'm just like, you're not really realizing like you're actually really tired. The fatigue is there.
No, I agree. That's why I'm waiting on the numbers for Spider-Man. Like I said, I'm probably not going to watch it. I recently rewatched Captain Marvel just to be like, okay, let me give this another try, and it was worse than the first time I watched it. It's the same thing with the Star Wars problem, that they've fucked over the value of Star Wars, which was the old crew getting back together in the Millennium Falcon, having their last adventure and then kind of passing the torch to the next generation. Instead, they decided to kill them off and just kind of shit all over the past, right? And nobody cares about the characters that are remaining.
Right.
And it's the same problem that Endgame produced, right? I mean, you've lost Captain America, you've lost Iron Man, which were the two big draws. Who do you have left? Okay, Black Panther's a big draw. Captain Marvel is not a big draw. Doctor Strange, very unique, but I don't think he's a major draw. Who do you really have to kind of like lead the flagship of this thing? I don't know.
They really tried it with this Spider-Man thing because he was supposed to be like the successor to Iron Man.
Right. I know that's kind of the idea, behind.
But he's just this.
But he's just a kid.
Right.
Yeah.
They kind of do something at the end to kind of show like he could be,
maybe one day.
Like Tony, yeah, kind of thing. But yeah, I mean, Thor.
I mean, he's probably a good leader, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I don't even know what's going to happen to
if he loses a few pounds.
Yeah. I mean, he's going to go off with the Guardians of the Galaxy. And,
there is something they do in Spider-Man, which I thought was pretty funny. Like right at the beginning, they basically explained one of the lingering questions about the Peter Parker's school.
Oh, why all the kids are there?
Yeah, so they actually point out like some of the kids are 5 years older.
Okay. So, but
since the world kind of ended pretty much, they never finished school. So all these kids who are 5 years apart go to school.
It's funny.
And start the year over. They throw that in, and it's really funny. It's just to kind of explain it. So it's kind of like a little way of like breaking the fourth wall. Like, we know what you guys were thinking. We are going to explain this.
Oh, that's pretty shit. It's amazing how quickly the world gets back together. Like everything just picks up when everybody gets back.
Yeah, and then there are people in it. They're like, hey. I didn't get, I didn't go. They called they'd use the term the blip. He goes, hey, I didn't go in the blip, so I'm actually 21. I can drink, and they're like, no. The whole fun. But anyways, so yeah. Oh man, we just spent a whole episode talking about movies. God damn it.
Well, I mean, we tied it into business and politics and
yeah.
But yeah. I had a pretty interesting night last night.
I saw a video. I was a little confused.
Yeah. So a friend of mine, I think I shared in a previous stream that I've been pulled into a WhatsApp group chat with a bunch of ladies. So it's like 3 ladies and myself. And this bunch of ladies, they're actively discussing like dating and men and having sex and other things while I'm also in this chat.
Wow.
Kind of like, I don't need to see this. I don't need to hear this. I don't need to know what color your dildo is. I don't, all this kind of shit, right? Anyway, one of the ladies had her birthday yesterday. Nice venue. We went out to one of the golf clubs out here. She got into the golf house, and a whole bunch of us got together and stuff like that. And it was good. And I got to meet, 2 people I've mentioned before, the lady and her plants, and Green Eyes. She was there as well. And the woman who was doing the birthday party was the housekeeper. And I think I've shared those names before if anybody wants to look back and stuff like that. And it was a good time. It was a very good time. Started out with a dinner, having a couple of drinks. I even invited my flatmate. He came down and joined us after a bit. And then we went onto the dance floor and I tore it up. And I think that's probably when I sent you the video. Like early on into the evening, as everybody's getting onto the dance floor, I gave you like a round shot of.
Yeah, I looked around. I'm like, "Are you at a club? Are you at a dance?
Yeah, it's a
Is that a
restaurant,
party?"
but it has a dance floor. A pretty posh. Well,
I was almost gonna write back burlesque question mark
yeah.
because the lighting looked that way, and I was like thrown off a bit.
Maybe late in the evening, that might have, because the lady and her plants used to take photography of burlesque and stuff like that. So you never know. But some of these ladies, I wonder if their clothes is ever going to stay on. You know, one of them, she was wearing a black dress that was basically see through, and she was
Wow,
she was there.
that's all you're gonna say about that.
That's all I'm gonna say about that. I mean, she did have clothes on underneath, like I wouldn't know how to describe it, but yes. But yeah, it was a good time. Yeah, that's how we party sometimes out here.
Yeah, what you guys lack in freedom, you make up for in debauchery.
Yeah, it can get pretty wild. It can get pretty wild. I mean, I came back early. I was hoping to go to the gym this morning. I didn't make it because I had too many drinks last night. If I'd stuck around, it probably would have been a very interesting night. Yeah. Yeah. And the funny thing is that we had another friend. So my flatmate and myself, we have a friend in common, and we told him about this party. And we started started sending him pictures, much like what I sent you. And Joe, which is one of the guys there, he's in the group as well. And he starts sending pictures of like these lesbians kissing at the bar and like just crazy shit he's finding online. He's just like sending it to this guy, like, yo, this place is the best, right? And then all of a sudden he sends a picture of a man dressed as a woman, as a cross dresser.
Oh god.
And he's like, oh, this shit's about to get real.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Our friend did not show up, unfortunately. So he may have dodged a bullet with that one, But yeah, it was good to get out. It's good to get out, Haven't done that in a while.
Yeah, definitely gotta. Man, now I gotta visit. Now,
I mean, I am thinking, because I've got some miles on my British Airways, so I might be able to do one more trip this year. Might come out to you guys. I'll see.
Didn't you come last year?
I didn't come last year. I was there for your 25th, was it?
Oh, that's right. You've pretty much come every 2 years.
Give or take every 2 years. Not. I don't think it's a rule, but pretty close to it. So
pretty much been that. Yeah. Huh. Well, let me know.
I'll let you know. We'll do an episode from the other side of the pond.
But yeah. Anything else that was going on, Brooke? I know it's pretty much us catching up here on this episode. We'll be getting back on track with regular content, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we were supposed to have a guest today. What happened to our guest?
So for those of you who are keeping up with us, we were going to have Vinny Marshall on from Think Liberty. We were going to have him last week. Some scheduling, something popped up. He has something he had to take care of with his family, and something similar happened today, so he won't be able to make it. And so we're just we're gonna put that on hold for now. He messaged me kind of like feeling bad, like, hey, I'm sorry, I gotta like kind of throw this wrench into your plans. And he said he really wants to come on the show. He really wants to talk with us. Just things that are the way they are, couldn't make it. So I'm going to just hold off for the time being and just see if, we still do want, the invitation is still there to have him come on. We'll just have to figure out like a for sure time.
Right.
It's not something that's like going to be consistent, but it seems like a temporary thing he's just got to take care of. So, but
yeah, that's fair.
The hope is we have Beard So Strong on Thursday, and then Sunday we'll see what happens. We don't want to rely too much on just having guests all the time. but it won't hurt to have a guest when we can have a guest.
And you are thinking of having a special guest co-host.
Co-host next Sunday, yes.
Yes, next Sunday. Do we want to say who that's going to be? Do we know who that is?
Possibly our friend Conk.
Right.
Corey, who we had on as a guest. I've been talking to him quite a bit, and he just wants to talk about something completely different from what we talked about last time.
Right. The whole futurism thing, is he want to?
Yeah, talking about just futurism, future technology. I even brought up a few topics that I thought was interesting. Have you heard about? Well, there's this thing called Google Brain.
No. Are they where they're putting the implants? Is that the one?
They want to create some sort of an implant that you could put in your brain to allow you to access knowledge.
Yeah, I think I may have seen the headline for it. I didn't read it though.
And my whole thing is discussing okay, so you have all this knowledge, but how are you going to process it all?
Right.
Because downloading is one thing, processing is another. So just because we can have a device that can download all the knowledge in the world into our brain, hopefully that our brain can take it, well, we need to process it. Just because,
yes,
and our brain doesn't have this kind of the way we process information is a little bit at a time.
Well, I mean, the way we consciously process information is a little bit at the time. The subconscious is massive. It's huge. I mean, it's literally recreating the reality around us at every moment, at every second, right?
So there has to be a way we can bridge that gap to be okay. Kind of like with the Matrix. You see them hey, I need to learn how to fly this helicopter. Downloads it in a couple seconds. It's yeah, it doesn't work that way because I don't think the brain just does that.
I suspect you're right, but of course, this is just for marketing, so they could sell you ads. So it's probably going to be reading your brain more than actually giving you information.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I like this idea.
Could you imagine the ads you're going to get based upon your thoughts alone?
Yeah, some of the thoughts I have are pretty fucking dark.
I mean, you're gonna have a bunch of people walking around with. Would you like to buy an AR-15? Wake up. Would you like to buy another AR-15? Jesus, I know I hate people, but I don't want to buy guns. Jeez.
Yeah, that's it. Then a slew of 4 hookers and a midget shows up at your door with a bag of cocaine. We're on special today. We've been sent here. They're every twisted fantasy of your mind is going to be broadcast back to the Google machine.
Anyone who is honest with themselves is going to understand that is not a good idea because
it's not.
The human mind goes everywhere.
It does. So I mean, if I understand what they're talking about, but just remember their core business is ads, right? I mean, I already think things and I see fucking ads for it, and I wonder if Facebook's in my head.
Yeah, but it's just that's like a Pandora's box because I've heard of I remember even one time years ago, excuse me, a teacher was okay, kids, if you could make one invention, what would it be? And a guy was well, what if I had a device that basically could materialize anything I think of?
Right. Yeah, that's a great idea.
To a kid, that's yay, I can think about anything. I want a car. I wanted this.
I want a bicycle.
Yeah, no. That's not what's gonna happen.
No. And the adults get is gonna be fucking zombie bodies of porn stars and shit showing up.
And then so
that's pretty messed up.
We'll have him on talking about the future and stuff, hopefully in a more
constructive
and professional way. But we'll see. So I think that's about it. We've covered everything.
I know we were late today, so we're probably a little short on this episode, but
we're that's the goal, is to, we don't want to go way too long, but we don't want to we're trying to make it so we have higher quality and we're not just going too long, I guess. So a lot of podcasts tend to keep it at just about an hour.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, between an hour and a half, I think is the average.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes.
All right. Well, anything you want to add, Brooke?
No, just it's good to be back on the show. I'll be off in Iceland for the weekend, so I hope you have a good time with Corey. I hope you guys really knock it out of the park. I'll try to listen if I'm not indisposed.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely.
Well, this again is the 10K Rum Podcast. This is our 58th episode. 11 episodes away from episode 69.
Come on.
But thank you everyone for joining us today. Everyone joining us in the chat, as well as anyone who is listening to us, who can, of course, listen to us on iTunes, Google Play, and, of course, Podbean, which is the main hosting service we use for our podcast. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, leave a comment, follow us on social media at Amos Joe and at Brook_Potter. Those are our Twitter handles. So yeah, thank everyone for joining us, and we will see you guys hopefully on Thursday.
Awesome. Thanks for watching, guys.